and then everything just catches on fire.
Yeah, man. All right, so I need speakers, loopback, stereo. Let's try that. Can you give me a mic check?
Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
That works.
This is my sexy voice.
Hello, internet.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Are you ready to get this thing started? Hello, Cosmic Cow. How's it going?
Oh, Cosmic Cow got a sneak peek.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is the Nymph.
Hello.
Moonpier is off on vacation, which he should hopefully be back next week. I know he's made
traveling the world.
Yeah, he's out journeying, seeing this great land of ours. So he should be back next week, and I know he has arrived at his destination and hopefully is having fun there. So fingers crossed. Let's talk about patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
Get all the cool exclusive behind the scenes early access, all the good audio over there. Recommended tier is $5 a month tier. You get all the let's talk about some exclusive audio like The Outcast. We're talking about all the non-video game stuff going on in our lives. Got some home improvement stuff this week. Shockingly not an energy drink review.
Nope.
Yeah, nothing for that this week.
Couldn't find anything weird.
Having a little water this week. Never bad for you. You can also get access to the Critical Misses production meeting, where Moon and I are talking about what we're planning for the show, when it's getting released, how much psychic damage we can do to each other, all that good stuff. You get exclusive, uncensored access to the Wayward Sons, which is the Supernatural TV show watchcast that the Nymph and Moonpier are going through. Just scheduled 2 more episodes of that. So you got another month of that coming down the pipe. And then you get early access to We Roguelike It. Moon and I are playing just too many roguelikes. I roped him in. He said yes, and I have run with it.
I can feel him yelling at his radio right now in his
you!
rental. Yeah.
And then we do Critical Misses. We're catching up on all the meaty hits we missed. We're recording like 3 seasons at once right now, so I genuinely don't remember what is coming out right now on Patreon. But if you go sign up over on Patreon, you can find out for yourself because you get 2-month early access over at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
All right, Nymph, you're in the hot seat this week.
Woo!
What have you been playing?
All right, so we're going to open up with Exoprimal.
Yes, let's go. I want to talk about Exoprimal.
I was going to say, we played Tuesday. Faeror got their microphone and their headset, so we were able to just chat it up.
Nice.
I think we only played for about an hour and a half.
I think that's about as much as we played on Fridays, too.
I know Angel and I wanted to try to actually get some sleep before work, and I was already tired, and I had been drinking a little bit, but I mean, I was good. I was there.
Drinks and Dinos, man. It's all good.
So we're having a lot of fun with that. Faeror is way further ahead than the rest of us. In fact,
yes.
I think they posted today that they just hit level 50 or something like that.
I believe so, yeah.
I just hit 20.
I hit 12, so...
Okay. But I can unlock now the... I don't remember. The first support. The one's on rollerblades and has guns.
I don't know what that class is, but they're super fun. They're cool. They have like their healing guns.
Yeah, and we had seen somebody at one point was using that particular armor, and it looked like they were playing Jet Set Radio. Like they were just skating 100%. Everywhere.
Just pew pew pew.
Yeah. But it looked interesting, and it looks like it'd be cool to check out. Yeah. I think it only costs about 4,000 or 4,500 like of their Bitcoins.
Yeah,
they're in-game currency. So
Faeror in chat says Nimbus is the name of that class.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
It just looks crazy. So I am still running with Deadeye. I am almost level 20 with that. So
nice.
once I get to level 20 on that one, I'll switch it over to one of the other classes and give that a shot for a while. But it's just I'm at the point where it just keeps ratcheting up the chaos.
Same with us. So like minor spoilers here, but if you haven't played this game, you should probably listen because this is wild. But I got far enough in where Magnum shows up, that annoying Australian guy, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up? I need you to help me do a mission. We're gonna find some signals." And I was like, "Okay, cool." It's like one of the slowest missions I've played in a really long time. And then at the end, he's just like, "Hey, dinos are coming in." And at two of them back to back, someone else, because we were playing with a bunch of randoms, someone else in the next match had the tower version of this event, and I had the bridge version. And it was eventually like, the camera is looking almost straight up at the top of this tower. And I'm like, why are we staring at this tower? And then you just see these little, like, pixel-sized things falling down. It's like, oh, cool. Oh, those are raptors. And it's like, 0 out of 1,000. Get going, buddy. And it's like, that between that and having to kill 1,000 for that bridge, those two moments were incredibly cool.
The tower version I just had happen today for me.
Oh, it's so
that
cool.
was crazy. Especially since I think you see the raptors fall, and then like halfway through it, all of a sudden you have like a T-Rex that shows up. And
perfect combination of really dumb and really fun. Like, it's a pretty dumb game, but I don't really care because it doesn't take itself too seriously, and I'm just mowing down literally 1,000 dinos. I'm shooting the poos with my friends, and we play for an hour, and it's like, yeah, we got like 3 or 4 matches in. I'm good. That was a good time.
So we are at the point where you just aim down a little bit, you're going to hit something.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to aim at some points in the game. You just shoot into a crowd and you're taking something out. So, but having the T-Rex now, which is way bigger than the other big thing that I thought was a T-Rex. Starts with a C. I don't
Carnosaurus, I think.
Something. I don't know.
Something like that.
But we had one of those pop up, and then I got the achievement for taking one of those down.
Oh, nice.
But that thing, I think it one-shotted me. Like, it ran at me. And this was something else I was talking about on Tuesday night with Pharaoh and Angel Eye. The dodge mechanic is throwing me off because you do not get iframes for dodging.
No, just like you're trying to get out of the way.
Yeah, I'm still in Dark Souls mode of, okay, wait for the attack, dodge. Nope, I'm in its mouth.
Right. Or like when the Triceratops dashes at you and you try and get out of the way, but it hooks you in between its horns and just carries you off. And it's like, well, never mind. All right, bye.
Which I had that thing throw me off a map. It did that exact thing. It charged me. It was on that bridge mission because we ended up replaying it. And it charged me all the way to the end of like the pier. And then it got done. And then when it dropped me, it just dropped me off the pier and I died. Because I was off map.
Love it.
I do love, too, how when you replay a mission because somebody else, either you don't have anything new coming up or somebody else just hits a new story beat, that Leviathan will tell you in the setup match that, hey, you're going to be doing this new temporal event. This is going to seem very familiar to you.
Oh,
it happens. Continue on.
Don't worry about it. Time stuff. Yeah. I think my only complaint that I found this week, and it's very minor, but when you go into the, whatever they call the codex, with that giant wheel with all the lore around it.
Their data thing or whatever.
Yeah. I really like that they have like 2 kind of things. There's like C unlockables and D unlockables. The D ones are like fully animated regular cutscenes that you kind of see. The C ones are almost like Metal Gear Solid codec things where there's a picture and there's like the little photographs of the people that are talking and just voiceover. The ones that are like that I kind of wish they were like a little bit shorter because they're really interesting. But each one of them that I watch is just like a smidge too long in a way that's sort of like, all right, I get it. Like you got this thing and we investigated. All right, yada yada yada. Like I don't want to skip it because it's cool and it's well voice acted, but it's sort of like, all right, let's come on, let's keep moving. Let's go. I have like 400 of these things. Let's move on.
At a minimum, it looks like, especially since they keep it. Some of them will expand. I haven't seen all of them yet, but there's been I have 3 of them that have expanded since I found something.
I was just like, oh, cool, we listened to this one, and it just like slides open and expands, and there's like 3 more there. And I was like, I swear to God.
Yeah, so we're having a lot of fun. We're messing with, or I was messing with being able to customize the armor, because we were talking about like the random like stickers and decals that we have on each of ours. And then I happened to notice that you can put a charm on your armor.
Yeah, the charms.
So we started looking at the charms.
Yep.
And for some reason, there is one on there called a sales tag. And it's a, 50% off sales tag that you can put on the back of your mech. And for some reason, that tickled me in a way that I have not been tickled in a while. And today I bought it for 4,500 coins, and now it's on my armor.
Oh,
it is
man.
the dumbest thing ever.
I love it. The one that I hope I can get is the hamburger. Because it's just so stupid. I love it.
I think there was like a dog one too, or something.
Pharaoh in chat says she got the fluffy tail.
Yeah, there's all kinds of just weird, dumb, random things. And apparently a lot of these are in the season pass stuff. Not all of them, I don't think, but enough of them are.
Oh, interesting.
So you can either choose to use in-game currency, or you can do the season pass premium version or whatever.
Gotcha.
I haven't looked at the season pass at all, so I don't even know what's in there.
Until you mention it, I don't think I've looked at it at all either, which is cool because like the last thing I want any of these games to be is like, get the season pass, get in there, get FOMO, don't forget this stuff. And it's like, no, I don't really care, man.
Well, so because the only time I ever see anything referencing it is once you complete a mission, it tells you, hey, your season pass rank is this, and then you find out if you got a free thing or if you didn't because it's locked out for premium. And I'm like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am still having a ton of fun with this game.
It's great.
A nice, just sit down and shut your brain off game.
Yep. And there's like enough strategy and there's enough teamwork there to kind of make you feel like you're doing something without being like, play your role. Oh my God, noob. Too many dots.
Speaking of roles, I'm really glad that you don't have to have like one of each role.
Right.
And it is viable. It just may be a little more difficult. Because I can't tell you how many times I've played matches where we didn't have a support at all.
Right.
And we got through it. I may have died 1 or 2 times more than I normally would have.
Right. And the game will pop up being like, your team doesn't have enough supports. But it's not going to say like, hey, you can't respawn unless you pick a support. Like, it doesn't care.
Yeah. And it doesn't lock you out. You can have like all dead eyes. It's like, it doesn't care. If that's how you want to roll, go in there, have at it. So
that's great. Oh, I love it.
But yeah, the story is crazy. So I am really loving it. Next game that I played is World of Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I am laughing because I brought this game up a long time ago on the podcast, and my son is adamant that I have to play and I have to beat this game. Like, okay, I will do that. Even though I bought it for him because he really wanted it and he's beaten it a long time ago, but he really likes it. I'm like, all right, cool. For you, I'll play it.
Yeah.
I left off where I was in the forest area going to some other place, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, man, I don't remember why I was just so against this game. It's like I'm playing it. There's random encounters, which is fine. You've got your Final Fantasy enemies that you're grabbing literally like Pokemon.
Right.
So I'm fighting with those. I've got like all the little characters stacked on top of my main characters' heads and all that stuff.
Oh,
I picked up a what do they call it? A baby behemoth. Which is just a medium-sized little behemoth baby that sits on my head. So I have that, which if I keep leveling it up, I can evolve it into an actual behemoth, and then it looks like it can evolve into like a third thing, which I have no clue what that's going to be.
Man.
And then I picked up a what they call a right hand, which it looks like a death claw almost, but like an armored hand. So it's considered a large Mirage, is what they call them.
Oh, yeah.
So you can ride it. I'm like, all right, cool. So I have this large right-hand armored thing crawling along the ground with my little chibi character on top of it. And my son and I'd said it. My son was like, I was just thinking this. It reminds me of the hands from Elden Ring.
Right.
Just watching the thing scurry across the ground. I'm like, I'm glad that thing's on my team and I don't have to deal with it.
It's a friend this time.
Yeah, and they've got like dumb little, like in your little thing, when you look at the compendium, they've got dumb little things in there about how like the right-hand Mirage that I have believes that it is left-handed, and then it just kind of leaves like a ... kind of thing.
That's right.
And apparently there is a left-hand version that you can find, but I haven't found it yet. So I keep playing, and then I get to the end of the forest, and there's Yuna, and then the characters start talking, and that's when it hits me. I absolutely hate the characters in this game.
Oh, okay. Now we remember.
Yeah, Yuna is fine. You know, her voice acting was fine. They may have even gotten the original voice actor. I'm not sure, or actress. I didn't look it up. But the way that they just constantly emote and just over exaggerate things is stupid and annoying. And then the little fox creature has to put like "the" in front of every third or fourth word in a sentence.
Right.
Oh, you guys are. This is
gets Star Ocean syndrome.
Yes, okay. Like, you guys need to shut up. I don't need this. Voices off. I will read the text.
We're just going to start calling them "shut up" RPGs. Like, just shut up. I don't need voice acting. I just need you to shut up.
But the funny thing is too is like I was saying, like Yuna was fine talking with Princess Sarah. Princess Sarah was fine. It's just the main characters that you have that I absolutely do not like. It's just the way of them speaking, and I understand that this was supposed to be more of a kiddie focused kind of game,
right?
Really,
right.
But even then, I'm like, man, I don't understand kids who find enjoyment out of that.
Right. Yeah.
But besides that, I will be playing more of it. Not a whole ton at once. I'm going to kind of do it on and off. But I am working towards getting to some place. I don't even remember right now. I was supposed to get through the forest to go talk to another place. We just found out that they turned traitor or something like that. So now we have to figure out what's happening.
Sure. Get to the end of the dungeon to get to a town to get to the next dungeon.
We had to fight Yuna. Because that was the other thing. There's like so they call, when you're in your normal human-sized form, they call you like giants or something like that. And there's a whole thing about nobody likes giants in this world. You have to be like the little chibi people because giants just ruin everything.
Okay.
So when you show up and see Yuna for the first time, you're in your giant form, and she automatically just thinks you're hostile, and so she just flat out attacks you.
Great.
And so you have to fight her in her first summon, which was a massive pain because they are both very powerful. But every once in a while, they would just keep stacking. So then she was riding, it starts with a V, I forget, but the first summon that she gets, the flying one, Valfor or something like that.
I think it's Valfor, yeah.
Something. Every once in a while, she'll just jump on top of it, and then she's riding it, and then they are considered one unit.
That's fun.
While you're attacking them, you can try to knock off their stack. If you do enough damage or hit them hard enough, the little stack meter will pop up and wobble. And if you get them just right, you'll knock them off the stack and it'll daze them both. And then you can just sit there and do like criticals on them. So it's got cool mechanics. Like the gameplay is pretty sweet. I'm enjoying the gameplay. It's just the moment a cutscene happens, like, skip.
Shut up. Let's move on.
Yes, I will be doing this off and on, mostly because I don't want to hear my son bring it up again, but he really likes it, and I'm like, I like everything, but when people talk. So.
Right. Yep.
My last game, because I'm going to hold off on one other game for when Moon comes back. That way he can't skip past it. He has to be there and listen to it.
Okay.
It's an Atelier game.
Yes.
My last game is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy, do I have a bunch of fun stuff with this one. So,
yeah.
I have gone through and I have beaten the first temple, dungeon, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. I think the game calls it a temple, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
But I'm old school and I just call everything a dungeon, so whatever.
Yeah.
I because it's so cold in the upper areas of the temple, you have to have like cold protection. All I had was the pair of pants that I found, but you need like at least 2 layers of cold protection, which means you have to equip at least 2 pieces of gear that give you that protection. Or you sit there and drink elixirs or eat food that give you cold protection, but then you have the timer that you have to deal with. I did not want to deal with the timer, so I'm like, okay, how can I make money in the beginning of the game?
Right.
Like I don't want like how to be, you know, a million Rubiere, you know, within the first 2 hours of the game.
Get $2 billion. Yeah.
I needed 500 rupees for a chest piece. That was all I needed.
Yeah, what can I do that I have missed that can get me some silver rupees?
So, a lot of people pointed out that, hey, you can go hunting in this one area that's underneath the that temple that I was at. You can hunt moose and bear there. I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay.
I will go there, and then you get like what do they call them? Like rare. You get like rare meats. There's 2 different kinds that you can get. Once you cook those, depending on if you get the full restore stat on them, which is, it seems like these are all assigned randomly when you cook the food. If you cook something and it ends up with the full restore, that thing is worth 300 and some odd rupees.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Anything else is like 130, 150 for like the skewers
Still
and stuff
pretty
like
good.
that.
All right.
Exactly. I mean, it's money.
Yeah.
So I go there and I'm running around for like an hour, and my son's watching me, and we're just talking while I'm playing, and I'm complaining about things because I'm old. But so we're running around, and like there are no animals in this area. I'm like, what are people talking about? Like I was watching a video, and like this is the area. Like the guy shows this map. This is the area, the route that he's taken. I'm running around. Nothing is spawning. So I'm like, all right, maybe there's too many enemies on the field or whatever. So I try taking out some enemies. That turns into a whole thing. At this point in time, I do not like the combat in this game at all.
Yeah. You're still in that tough phase.
Yeah, and I think I was still kind of that way with Breath of the Wild, even when I got further along. I think I was not really big on the combat side of things. But so I'm like, all right, let me clear out some enemies. So I do that, and nothing, like, it didn't change the dynamics of anything. There's just enemies in this area. All right, fine. Let me restart let me save, close out the game, restart it, see if that helps with spawning or something. That didn't change anything. So I'm digging around online. I'm like, what are all these people talking about? I find eventually in the comments of the one video, towards like the bottom of 5,000 comments, hey, you have to clear the local phenomenon before the animals will start showing up. I'm like,
there's
yeah,
the
great.
rub.
So your video says you can do this as soon as you take control of Link, when really, no, you cannot. You have to beat the temple first.
Finish the dungeon that you're trying to get the cold stuff for.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Let me see what I have in my inventory that I can sell. Because I think I had like 300 rupees, and like I said, I just needed 500.
Yeah.
I happened to have a bunch of rubies, and those were like 130 something a piece or something to sell. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me sell 2 of those. Boom, I'm at 500. I'm good to go.
Nice.
Finally get the armor, go back to the temple. I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about the cold stat.
Great.
I do the temple. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but then I get into the boss fight eventually, which was an okay boss fight.
I liked it.
But I had to do it 5 times because anytime the boss even glanced my way, I would just die.
Link clutches his chest and dies.
Yeah, which was weird because it's like a giant flying centipede, and you're constantly in this updraft. So you're constantly way up in the air. You don't have to worry about your stamina or anything. It has these cores, like these ice cores that you have to break, and then you can get to a core, and then you can shatter that while you're in the air. The first time I had seen that, it starts shooting ice. Like, you can get to it from the bottom normally, but on the top it's covered in ice, and then it can shoot those ice spears out towards you, and they'll follow you, all this stuff, and you dodge them. I crash landed into one of those on purpose because it looked like the ice things that you find throughout the game, where it's like, oh, if you just jump on them, you start to shatter the ice, and then you fall through. So I just, like, dive bombed into the first one, and my son's like, I don't think you can do that. And then I just crash right through it and take out the first node. And I'm like, no, it looks like you can. And he's like, I didn't even think to do that.
Yeah, I used my bow and arrow. I didn't even think of trying to dive through there.
Yeah. So that was all fine and dandy. I got him down to the next form, and this is when the boss starts doing tornadoes.
Yeah. Ugh, God.
That sucked because normally it seems like it only does like 4 tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point I was really close to it, and I guess I just kept screwing up what it was supposed to do, so it just kept summoning tornadoes. So I have like a screen full of tornadoes and no way for me to dodge.
Great.
So that took me out on that one, and then I had to redo it. And then another time, like I landed on top of him by accident, missing the ice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't take any damage from it randomly. So it's like anytime I touched like the outer rim of it, as long as I wasn't too high to take the fall damage, I wasn't taking any damage from the boss. But then it starts doing a thing where it'll warp out, like it'll open up like a darkness,
like a portal
orb.
Almost.
Yeah, it'll fly through there, and then it'll open up one beneath you and just go straight up and attack you.
Right.
9 times out of 10, you can dodge it no problem. However, if you're really close to above the temple, as soon as that portal opens and its head pokes out, it's automatic hit.
Yeah.
And that thing took me out because I only had 4 hearts, so then I had to redo it again. But eventually, I got it.
Right.
And now I have, I believe the little Rito was Talon was the name of it?
Talon, yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
So now what you get with that is Talon had the ability to gust you vertically.
Right.
So now you have like this ring that glows, and Talon, I have like a shadow version of Talon that follows me around, and this thing looks real evil. I'm just going to say that right now.
When he summoned it the first time, I'm like, oh, he's doing what is this, like, evil shadow version?
That's what I said. Like, it's
here's
like,
my friend.
Shadow Link all over again.
Right, and I'm like, he's evil now.
Yeah. So what happens now is I have shadow version Talon following me around, which is great because I can do its vertical gust, which I don't ever use for anything. But now I have a little buddy that follows me, and occasionally, when it feels like it, it will help to attack other things.
So,
which is real helpful.
I recommend people get that one first, because for puzzle solving out in the world, his little gust thing is a huge help, where it's like, I just need to get across this chasm or something. And he actually does a ton of damage when you're out fighting. It seems like after a while, I don't know if it was just me paying attention or whatever, but it seems like after a while, he actually starts attacking way more, which is nice.
Which, I mean, because there have been several times where I'll lock onto an enemy and I'm just circling them, and I'm waiting for Talon to attack. I'm like, come on, little buddy, you can do it.
Help
it's like
me
my
out here,
sword.
man.
I only have like 2 more hits on this weapon that I have.
Right.
I really need you to pull through here.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he will, and sometimes it won't. And we were noticing too, while my son was watching, that normally his normal attack is just like he'll shoot 2 arrows, like 1 and 2. Every once in a while, he gets, I don't know if it's like a random modifier or something, but he'll get like what seems like a critical where he'll shoot 3, and that third one does like that big pop graphic, so it's like it did like critical damage. Yeah. Yep. It's like, man, it has been really nice having them there, because like I was saying, I really just like the combat right now.
And now you have your little evil bird buddy.
Yes, I am here for everything. I love the puzzles in this game.
Yes.
I love the exploration in this game. Just absolutely hate the combat right now. It is such a pain right now.
Yeah.
So after we do that, then the bears and the moose start to show up in that area.
There you go.
All right, cool. Now I can go hunt these things. And I went through and cleared out some areas, some enemies in the area. And there was one that I found where it was a bunch of like bogoblins on a horse. And there was one that was pulling like a wagon behind it.
Right.
So the bogoblin on that horse didn't have anything, I don't believe. But the one on the wagon, there was a bogoblin in there with a bow and arrow. So they would just, circle me. And the one would just keep shooting at me while the other ones were coming at me.
It's like, you jerks, come on.
Yeah. But it was kind of cool. It was a cool interaction. So I took them out eventually. It took a while.
Right.
And in the meantime, once we get done and I beat them, I find like a little buddy who needs me to bring him to his friend. So I'm like, all all right, cool, let's do this.
The Korok that is like, my friend is over there. And I'm always like, oh man, that sounds like it sucks. Peace.
Yeah. So I grab him and we start going. And you can't, the thing that sucks is this one didn't need me to build anything. It was literally, hey, this one's here. This one's over here. You just need to walk
just
them
ultra
over.
hand them over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem, though, is that you can't run while ultra handing.
Right.
And you can't, I think you can't jump either or something.
You can't attack. You're just like slow walking with this Korok in his giant backpack.
And I'm like, this is taking forever. And I finally get close enough to where the little buddy's camp is. And there's like a downgrade. So I drop the one that I'm carrying from up
this
high.
Round buddy.
Yeah, and he starts slowly rolling down the hill, which was faster than me walking. So I'm like, all right, this is cool. As I'm following this thing rolling down the hill, all of a sudden this cart comes out of nowhere down this hill. It is coming right at me. And I'm like, what is going on? There's like nothing on it. There's a treasure chest.
Okay.
And I'm asking my son, it's like, are there mimics in this game?
Right.
He's like, no.
He's like, man, I don't know.
Because it was perfect. Like that cart was coming right at me.
I'm going to cross the street. Beep, beep.
The only thing that we could figure out, because I opened it and it was just a normal cart with a chest on it.
Sure.
The only thing I could think of was the group of bogoblins that I killed earlier that had the wagon. It must have been that wagon, and it has been this entire time slowly going this way.
Slow rolling across Hyrule.
Yeah, until they hit that hill, and then just keep charging right at me, because it freaked me out for a moment.
Like,
what is happening?
Oh, that's great.
So it's that dumb stuff I'm really enjoying. But yeah, I also came across, after doing that, I went back, because I'm trying to figure out, I have 3 other points that I can go to now for the main story. I'm like, okay, I'll eventually make my way that way.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like exploring a little bit more. So I go back to the main hub where you start at, which is like south of Hyrule Castle, where it used to be. Which that poor castle, I don't know how that's still even kind of in a piece.
Yeah, it's had a rough life.
Yeah. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go south. Not for any particular reason, but it's like I see a bunch of shrines. There's a sky tower over here. I'll just go grab that sky tower.
Right.
On my way there, I run across like a group of Hyrule citizens.
Oh, right.
At first they're all like armored, or not armored, they all have weapons. So I'm like, wait, are they coming for me? Or
did I do something bad?
Yeah. So I run like a large arc around, because I'm like kind of scoping them out. It's like, can I take them if they do turn hostile, all this fun stuff. And I get closer to them and none of them do anything. So I go and talk to the guy on the horse that was leading them, and they all stop. And what I had found out was they are basically like a subjugation unit.
Yeah, they're like a monster hunting squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they had said, this one just told me, hey, we found this encampment here. It would be really great if you could come with us, but if you can't, we understand. But it would really boost morale. I'm like...
And here's a side quest.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'll follow you guys. I don't have anything going on right now. This is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I follow them. The camp was just like over this next hill that I hadn't gotten across yet. So we see them, and the guy on the horse is like, okay, everyone stealthily. And I'm the only one crouched, hiding. Everyone else just rushes this thing.
Great.
And I'm like, all right, cool. I guess I'll just hang back with the knight here and see how it all goes down.
Right.
And then I see one of those tall guys, starts with an M. I'm never going to remember any of these names.
Moblin, I think?
Moblin or something.
I think so, yeah.
It was up on like this perch-looking thing, and it stands up, and I'm like, that is going to be a problem. And it walks down and around, and it comes down to the camp that they were all attacking. So I go in there, and I'm helping like the little other guys fight, and I'm like, can they die? Like, if I don't do anything, are they just going to die? And then
I don't even know.
I don't either, because I helped save them.
Oh, nice.
I didn't want to find out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I shot the Mogoblin thing, went to go pick up like this red barrel to throw it, and I got a critical shot on its face before it did, so it dropped it.
Oh,
which
nice.
then blew up it and a bunch of the other goblins.
Yeah, there we go.
There was a bunch of those canisters everywhere. And then we just took the camp. And then the knight was like, hey, there's another camp, I think he said like northeast or something like that in this direction. We'd love it if you'd go there. And I'm like, I mean, maybe if I come across you by accident again, but...
that's pretty much how I think I did 6 or 7 of those, and that's how I basically did it, where every time I'd see them, I'd be like, oh, hey, it's those guys. All right, let's go hang out with them again. And we did one of those, got a bunch of monster parts, and just like kind of went on our way.
Yeah, I'm finding that if it's not just me, the combat can be fine because I can just do what I do best, and that's hide in the shadows and blow things up.
Right, and that's that's why I liked getting. Oh, Tulin is his name. That's the name.
Yes.
That's why I like getting Tulin early. Is like every once in a while he would alert me when there aren't enemies around because he starts flying and he has his bow in his talons, and every once in a while he'll get like a really good critical shot. I'm like, yeah, all right. You and me, buddy. Let's do this.
So, as of right now, I bought the rest of the gear, outfit, armor, whatever, from Rito Village, so I have the complete cold weather resistance kit. I went back to the main town that you first start out in with that little secret vault thing underground, which I thought was really funny. That I feel like that's got to be a Fallout reference because they talk about how it's like a safe vault for the royalty.
The royalty,
yeah,
right.
And then it has like a full-on like cog vault door in the ground that opens up for you to. Oh my god! But anyway, so I bought all the Hylian gear from there as well. So now I have like 3 complete sets of armor with me, and I'm just gonna go in whatever direction looks cool.
I used that Hylian set all the way through the game. Like, once I could start upgrading stuff, and I'm like, I like how this set looks. I like the little hood. And I think by the time I upgraded it 2 or 3 times, it was like 12 armor each piece. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. So I use that almost all the time.
Right now, I think the most I have is 3 armor each piece.
Right.
So, and I did find a ferry too up in the area that I was hunting in. But I have to get musicians to come back to that horse ranch there, it sounds like. And then eventually that ferry will open up. So,
yeah, there's like a whole musician quest line. You'll run across the first step at some point.
Yeah, so I'll figure it out from there. But I'm still helping the guy with the signs, helping the, support the president. It's just I did find a bunch of like the craters too to go underground or the caverns or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
I have not tried any of those though, because those kind of seem like 1 grade higher of difficulty than I'm ready for right now.
Yeah, there's a quest line to get started with those just south of Lookout Landing. I think that's probably the best one to start with. I think it's directly south of Lookout Landing. That area is pretty safe, but kind of the further you go out from the middle, that's where things get pretty spicy.
Yeah, and because a lot of it too, some of the enemies that I already fought in that first one that you go into, for like the very first quest, the enemies weren't difficult. It was just that you had all that gloom there, which really messes you up, and then just like the random, like the stuff that they find to throw at you, like 9 times out of 10, it's gonna blow up and you can't get away from it.
Well, and every time they hit you, it gives you a gloom heart too. So it's like, please, I now have literally half of a heart. I gotta get out of here. Yeah.
And some of the food in here that's so worthless, where it's like, hey, this will heal you a 1/4 heart.
Right, and it's like, oh, thanks. Like, that's
dude, I've got 5 hearts. I need all 5 of those hearts to make it through 1 hit.
Yeah. Oh, you baked that apple. Here's a half a heart. And it's like, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
But outside of that, it is still a fun game.
Yeah.
I am doing everything I can to not fight. If I can explore and find ways to get around things, that's what I've been doing. I did finally cash in a bunch of my seeds, so now I can hold more than like 3 or 4 shields at a time, and like a bunch of bows and weapons. So I've got that going for me now, where I can carry more things, so that way I'm not constantly running out of stuff.
Nice.
I completed another shrine which requires rockets, and I find that rockets and me are not a thing that should be combined together, because I do all kinds of weird, crazy things with them.
Rockets and I are not friends. They're weird. It's too dangerous.
But they're so great. Like I don't know what it was called, but the shrine that I completed, you had to hit a target. But you you didn't use the rocket to, like, you weren't aiming that to hit the target. You had to, like, what I did the first one, there's like a wheel there, and then you see the target, and there's like a bunch of logs here. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build like a stick. I'm gonna attach the rocket to the wheel. I'm gonna light the wheel, and I think it's gonna swing and hit the target.
Oh, sure, right.
And the entire time my son's watching me, he's like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. You know, I didn't. That's not how I did it.
Ye of little faith.
Well, and so we do it, and I'm thinking, no, that should hit like dead on. It would not have in real life. Basically, it was probably off by like less than a half an inch, but it was enough in there to get the hitbox.
Right.
Because when it goes, it doesn't even hit the target. It just completes the swing and then hits underneath. Like it went all the way through. So like I barely got that one.
We take those ones.
Yeah. But then the next one was it was something a bit more complicated. So I like attached a bunch of rockets to a log, and I just stood on top of it and launched it. It's like, all right, here we go.
Hey, it works. It's not dumb if it works.
So, yeah. And that's what I keep telling them. It's like, yeah, if it works out, it's not dumb.
That's right.
We had another flying one. I found out that the huge boxes, I don't know if they have an actual name or not, but I ran into batteries. And figuring out what those actually do now. And so there was like these flamethrowers in a balloon, and there was 2 batteries on like these floating blocks, bricks, whatever they are. And what I found out is those will go up, but you cannot get them to go down.
Correct. Right.
And I was like, this game has it out for descending. It has no problems letting you ascend.
Yeah, you want to go up? We love it.
Yeah, descending is this game's natural enemy for some reason. So yeah, I did that, which led me to it led me to finding I guess they're called shrine crystals, or like a shrine core or something.
Oh, like the big green like potato looking thing.
And you pick it up and it shoots out like a beam, and it basically said, hey, follow that beam, it will lead you to like a dormant shrine. You put that crystal thing down and it will activate that shrine. It's like, oh, that's cool, because it's, you know. So then I build a whole thing with one of those cube things. I put 2 fans on it. There was a steering wheel, or what do they call it? Like a control apparatus, or what they call it, something like that.
Yeah, it's like the steering stick or whatever.
Yeah, so I got to pop that on there, so I got to mess with that for the first time. There was like a bunch of batteries that I just attached to this block. So
we're going, baby.
Yeah, so I basically went out, came back around, and followed the beam, because I had that crystal like adhered. I had that thing super glued to my platform so it didn't roll off or anything. And flew it over there, so I got to mess with that. And with the control unit, you can make those blocks float down.
Yeah, like if you push forward, it descends.
Yeah. So that seems to be the only way to get those to actually descend, is with that control unit. But outside of that control unit, they won't do anything. So I flew over there, did the shrine. It was one of the actually easier ones. I think they called them like a gift shrine or whatever, where it's literally...
Yeah, it's like Raru's gift, where it's like, here's a chest and the thing. All right.
Yeah, you walk in... Yeah, like you said.
You already did the puzzle.
Walking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's cool that they have these kind of shrines where, like you were saying, you did the thing to get here, so there's not an actual trial inside of the thing. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But then I was mad because I came back out and it got rid of my little contraption that I made, because I really wanted to mess with it more.
Curses.
But whatever. There's like tons of them everywhere if I really wanted to. I'm already in that mode where I do not want to use any of the little gotcha balls that I have. It's like,
sure.
I need to save them in case I need them already, is the mindset, and there will never be a need for it, so I just need to start using them to mess with them.
There were some, like, in some of the temples, there were ones where it's like, before I did this puzzle, I should have saved, because I kept messing it up, and I just needed like one more fan and one more rocket to solve it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pop one of these capsules. I'm going to use it. All right, I did the puzzle. Thank goodness I had this stash of like 2 or 3 rockets and 2 or 3 fans.
I have like 12 of each thing so far.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's good.
Every time I see one of those little gotcha bulb things, I dump like 5 of the little charge things in them. So I
so you can
get a
get
random
like
assortment.
10 of things out of it. Yeah.
It's just, I just don't want to spend them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You never know.
You could need them. You don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is still really good. I'm still really having fun with it. But that's all I've been playing.
All right, I played this week Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy.
Oh, dude, yeah, these came out.
These came out a while ago, and I was looking at the Game Boy portion of the Switch because I was trying to figure out, there are 3 Zelda games I haven't played. Skyward Sword, which I don't know if I'll ever get to. And then I haven't played the 2 Oracles games, because I never had a
Seasons and Ages, yeah.
Right, because I never had a Game Boy Color. So those are the only 2 I haven't played. And they, just the other day, came to the Switch's Game Boy thing. And I was like, all right, cool, I want to make sure... Because, they're all tied to, like, the Nintendo Switch Online. I'm like, I'm going to fire it up, make sure I still can get in there, and it doesn't... Like, whenever I fire up the Game Boy Advance, it's like, hey bro, do you want to upgrade your subscription? I was like, no, I'm good. Yeah. No, thank you. So I fired that up, and I hadn't looked at that list of games for a long time, so there were like 15 new games for me to look at in there, and I was like, oh, cool. My daughter loves Kirby, because she loves pink. Kirby's awfully cute. So when I went in there, I saw there were a bunch of Kirby games, and I told her, like, oh, here's Kirby's Dream Land. I played this when I was your age. Like, when I had a Game Boy, this was one of the games I had. I loved this game. So she wanted to see me play it, and I was like, sure. I mean, how bad could this be? I remember it being pretty hard when I was a kid, but whatever. Did not remember how short this game is. It's 4 levels, 4 very short levels, and a boss rush and the boss. And turns out it's not super hard, which was kind of nice. So I played a bunch of that, and she got bored before I finished it, which makes sense. She just really wanted to see the kind of fun animations that open up each level.
Yeah.
And then Kirby's dancing whenever you finish a boss. She liked that a whole bunch. But it's kind of nice to play. It's a nice part about these games being on these systems is I'm more than happy to fire up a game like this for 5 minutes and play it and be like, yeah, this is still cool. I remember a little bit of this from when I was 8 or whatever, and then just kind of going back about my day. So Kirby's Dream Land, pretty cool. I don't know how many Kirby games I've played overall, but definitely not all of them, because I feel like every time I turn around, they're like, yeah, they just released 3 more this year. It's like, jeez, okay, cool.
I do really like how in the Game Boy background, they still have that battery light there.
Yep. It's really good. Yeah. So I played that. Next up, I played another game with my kid. I played Unpacking. She loves to play Unpacking. I cannot thank the team that made Unpacking enough for having an option that just you can put anything anywhere. Because she's 6, so she thinks it's funny to, like, put the toilet paper on top of the stove in the kitchen. And she's like, look, it doesn't go there. And before the game, would be like, excuse me, pardon me, that needs to go in the correct spot. She would get really, understandably, really frustrated about, like, well, where am I supposed to put this thing? Like, she doesn't even know what a CD player is, because she was born after 1995. So, like, I really like that there's that option there to just put stuff wherever you want. She just wants to take it out of the box, and put it somewhere, and take something else out and put it down. Yep. Which, big same. I appreciate it. But I bought... we've been playing it on the Xbox because it's on Game Pass. So I bought it on PS5 this time, just like another... I don't know how many times I've played it on Xbox with my kid, and it's like, all right, I'll toss you $20 again for this on another platform.
For a great time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We'll play it, I don't know how many more times at this point, so it's sort of well worth it. Unpacking is still great. On PS5, the sounds that things make when they get put down come out of the speaker on the controller, which I am always tickled by, so I like that. But other than that, it's still Unpacking. That's great.
It always throws me off when games do that, because I have that volume set pretty low.
I do too.
So
yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll just hear it. And you're like, where is that noise coming from?
Who's talking to me? Like, what's happening?
But my daughter does play this game off and on too, and she gets tickled doing the same thing. Where she'll call me in there and be like, "Look, I have the computer like next to the sink," and I'm like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, those don't go together. But I appreciate it. Good creativity.
I think she has it still set on the default mode,
right?
So it'll let her put things there, but then it just like does that little shake thing to let you know, hey, this doesn't go here.
Yeah, like this isn't. Yeah.
So I do get random questions from her, like, where would I put this? I'm like, I don't know. Where in your room would you put that?
That's right. Where do you want it to go?
Yeah, and then eventually she figures it out, and I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'll get upstairs and go clean your room.
So. That's right. For real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unpacking is still great. 2 thumbs up. If you haven't played it, it's on Game Pass. It's $20. It's on, I think, everything. It's probably Steam Deck compatible. I'm more than sure. I know the Switch version is pretty good, so go check that out. It's real good. Next up, just a short one, just because I played it a bunch this week. Picross S8 on the Switch. I actually just looked. I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder when S9 is out. Came out in May, and I gotta buy another one.
Backlog's already getting long.
That's right. Like so many, because there's 9 of them now, and the Genesis and Master Drive or Master System one that they came out with was actually really good. But man, I love playing Picross. I love doing these puzzles. This is probably the best version of Picross you can get out there. Picross games don't need to do very much. It just needs to control really well and be easy, because there's only 2 buttons, which is like fill in a square or mark a square in X. That's all you really need. And on top of it, for this one, it has a lot of, especially if you're learning, if you're doing like really giant puzzles, they have a lot of really great options for helping you figure out when a row or a column is complete, or they have a thing called hint roulette, where it'll kind of pick a row or a column and just fill that in for you at the beginning.
Oh, wow.
To give you kind of a nice little like head start of like, all right, we filled one in for you. If you don't know where to start, here you go. You can kind of build off of that. But this one's really great. I think I've played, this is 8. I think I've played 5 of them so far. There are a couple I didn't pick up along the way, because they keep releasing them like crazy. But they're really good. And the tutorials, there are 4 modes: regular Picross, Mega Picross, which is something I just genuinely still don't understand, and I try it in each one. I go through the tutorial and I'm like, yeah, what? No, huh?
Clear as mud.
Yeah, 100%. They have Color Picross, which is really good, because it's essentially you're doing the same thing, but you're coloring up to like 4 different colors in the squares, so it changes the puzzles a little bit. And then they have Clip Picross, where you're doing small puzzles, and then each one of those puzzles fills in a larger picture. So you're doing like 25 small puzzles, and by the time you finish all of those, it's like, oh, here's a cool forest picture that you built out of all these tiny ones.
Nice.
So those are pretty nice, and the tutorials are genuinely really good, especially if you've never played Picross games before. Tutorials are great, and the first collection of puzzles are really, really easy, which a lot of Picross games get wrong. They think like, oh, you did 2 puzzles successfully, now here's a 15 by 15 puzzles. Like, no. You gotta have like a whole bunch of those 5 by 5 puzzles that are really good for beginners, just to get people started on the games. So Picross S8, still good. I gotta pick up 9 here at some point. I guess I'll finish this one so I know where the story goes. LOL. Atomicrops. Moon and I just finished playing this for We Rogue Like It. Science to come soon. I love this game so much that I'm continuing to play way more of this after we're done.
It sounded like you guys had nothing but good things to say about the game.
It's really good, and I think part of what I like about it, in kind of contrast to the next game I'll talk about, is that number one, it's pausable, which is great. But number two, I really like. So the gameplay loop here is you go to your farm and you're farming and exploring at the same time. So you're kind of defending your farm and you're exploring out in the kind of the boundaries around your farm. And that's where you're defeating enemies, picking up fertilizer, picking up upgrades, getting friends, who's essentially like your farm animals that kind of are ostensibly your automation. So like pigs dig the soil for you, cows water the earth for you, chickens pick weeds and stuff. So
okay.
The more friends that you have, the less stuff that you have to do, and the more they do while you're out doing the like bullet hell exploration fighting stuff. So on the surface it sounds sort of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a cow, whoopity-doo, and it's like, oh, you watered my entire farm while I was gone. Oh, okay, cool, that's actually really good. But what's great is there's a set time you're doing each one of these sort of they call it a day. So each season lasts 3 days. Each day has a set time. It's usually only about 2 minutes or so. So you run in, you do as much as you can in 2 minutes. A bunch of monsters after that, a bunch of monsters attack your farm after the sun goes down. So you go back and you fight X number of waves of enemies, and then as soon as you finish that, you get airlifted back to the town. You do a little bit of stuff in the town between days, and then you go back and you rinse and repeat. So it feels really good because if you have like 20 minutes, you can go in, maybe do a couple of days, maybe do one season, which is like 2 full days and a boss battle at the end, and then you're done. Like, you can just save your game and get out of there. It isn't one of these roguelikes where your overall run might be an hour, but you don't have to sit there and go through like, all right, I'm on floor 13. I'm so hungry, I have to go to the bathroom so badly, but I can't take a break on this run. Like, it's really nothing like that. And I really love it. I actually completed the last trophy on the... So there's 3 sets of trophies. The base game, and then patch 1.2 and patch 1.4. I've completed all of the trophies for the base game. I got the last one I needed was the one that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do. There's a system in this game where if you put 4 crops together and you fertilize them, they sort of grow into a big version of that crop. And what I didn't know for a long time is you can do that with trees too. So if you get 4 of the same tree in a 2x2 grid and you fertilize those, they grow into a mega tree. And the last trophy I needed was to grow 4 mega trees in one run, which I pretty much had the perfect run to complete that on earlier this week, which actually felt really good, and that was super, super, super overpowered for the rest of the run, which was nice. Kind of nice. This is another one of those roguelikes that is more than happy to make you overpowered. It's not going to be one of those like, oh no, you can't be that strong. It's like, no man, like, let's go crazy. You're going to be shooting homing bullets that fertilize and water your crops and explode and shoot lightning and stuff. Like, go crazy. And it's like, yeah,
nice,
great, I love it. So Atomicrops is really great. Highly recommend you listen to We Roguelike It, where Moon and I are kind of didn't know anything going into it and really figured out that we loved it going in. And I think Atomicrops, if it's not on sale anymore, it was on sale on PSN for $5, which is wildly cheap. It's normally only $15, which is still incredibly cheap. So go check it out. Atomicrops is really good. Next game here, polar opposite, Diablo 4. Finally kind of tucked into that this week, and spent a whole bunch of time playing that this week. I am halfway through Act 3, so I'm almost at kind of the halfway point of the game here. I am playing as a barbarian, which I haven't been super crazy about, but earlier today I respect all my skills, and I was struggling with the thing that I feel like barbarians should be good at, which is kind of like single target large damage. That wasn't really happening for me, so I don't even know what it's called. It's called Hammer of the Ancients, I think. It's essentially just like a giant hammer you slam into the ground. I'm like, this is probably going to be something that will do good damage. Lo and behold, yes, it does very good damage.
Right.
So maybe that's kind of the thing that I really need.
I've been finding that with my Necromancer. If I use Blood Lance, that seems to be a pretty good thing to use to just do single damage on a thing. But
yeah, I really want to start a Necromancer. I might do that for my seasonal character. But I'm really trying to motor my way through the main story. I am still myself though, so every time I run across something, I'm like, I don't know, the side quest is right here. I'll just do it real quick. Well, there's a dungeon right over here. I'll just do it. It's like 5 minutes here, half an hour here, kind of like. I know I should just motor through so I can get to the seasonal stuff, but I'm also trying to smell the roses a little bit as I'm going, which I would probably be done if I wasn't. But I'm having fun, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much.
Honestly, I felt like if you will get to a point where you won't feel the rewards are justified.
Sure.
And that's probably around the time where it's like, okay, I'm going to start focusing more on the story missions than the sides, because you can also play the dangerous game of you didn't complete enough side stuff, so now the story is super difficult for no reason.
Yeah, I think I'm level 34 or 35 at this point.
Okay.
So I feel pretty over leveled at this point, which is good. You can't really get over leveled because the game scales anyway, but from like a skill standpoint I feel pretty good. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. I got my first ultimate skill, which is not a thing that I knew was in the game.
I have not unlocked that for my Necromancer.
Okay, so for my barbarian, I think I could pick like 2 or 3 of them, and I picked one that like summoned 3 guys, and like one does a smash attack, one does a spinning attack, one does like a slashy thing, and when I upgraded it, they last quite a bit, sort of time-wise, and they boost my attack skill at the same time, and I'm just chewing through stuff when that stuff comes up. And I think I can use it every 45 seconds or so, which feels actually pretty good. What else I have here on my...
I was saying, because I have the ability to get the ultimates, but I was spending all of my points on like the passives to increase like the health and the damage of my skeletons and stuff like that, and to increase the skills that I was already using. And I was not thinking that, because I wasn't sure how the what are they called, the prestige level thing?
Oh, the Paragon?
Yeah, the Paragon. There we go.
Right.
When you hit level 50, I didn't know that you were not going to be getting skill points anymore. You were only getting Paragon points.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so now I'm at the point of, if I want to get more skill points, I have to complete more of the map stuff and the side quests that will just give you
stuff or whatever it's called. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now, where my passives are all maxed out and the skills that I'm currently using are maxed out, but I didn't even get all the way down the skill tree. I think there's like 2 or 3 levels above where the ultimates are for me that I didn't get to.
Oh, okay.
So it was really weird. So
yeah, I haven't really been looking at guides or anything, because we've been talking about this with Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like, number one, everybody's angry about everything all the time. So it's like, I'm having a lot of fun playing Diablo. I only have one very minor complaint we'll get to in a minute. But otherwise, I'm like, that's Diablo. I'm clicking stuff. I'm having fun. I'm killing giant walking trees that are covered in blood. Yay! And I feel like every time you try to look up like a build or anything, people are like, oh, your build is probably garbage, you dumb baby. Use this thing. Here's a half-hour YouTube video. And it's like, no, I just, like, should I pick Hammer of the Ancients or should I pick Rend? Yeah. Or, like, is one good? And they're like, oh, you have a Rend. Oh, my God. You're so stupid. The Rend build. And I was like, I don't know what I'm level 10. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I really haven't been looking anything up.
That's been a lot of my issues with the Necromancer, because I wanted to use Corpse Explosion. Right. Like I said, I don't have skill points right now. Right. So I never spec'd into that, and I was spec'ing more into the blood magic side of Necromancer than I was. I believe that one's like the corpse magic side of things. So I never spec'd into any of that stuff. But yeah, it's the same thing. Where it's like anytime you look up anything on Necromancer, it's like, oh yeah, these are the reasons why your class sucks, and it's because you're not using this, and this. Right. And it's like, but I don't want to use this, and
or this. People are like, oh, you're playing Necromancer, it's the worst. My tier list is like, shut up. Yeah. I'm on world tier 1. I don't care. Like, I'm not fighting, uber demigod Lilith or whatever. Like, I don't care.
And the game is plenty hard on World Tier 1 still.
Yeah, I'm having enough trouble with like regular bosses, which is kind of fun. Like after playing Diablo 3, Diablo 3 is like, oh, I hit the butcher for two hits and it's done. Like, which is also fun in a different way, but like it's been kind of fun to have like I fought 3 skeletons and I barely made it out alive.
Yeah, because that's a lot of what I'm running into now, where it's like anything that's got like an above screen health bar,
like any elites or whatever.
It's like, this is gonna take a minute. This is gonna suck.
Yep. The only thing that I'm struggling with is a self-inflicted wound, because my kid is still home on summer break. This is a very M-rated game, and she's not really interested in watching the like isometric, I'm in a dungeon slashing a bunch of goblins and stuff. She doesn't really care about that. But as soon as, the worst part of the game comes on, which is the cutscenes, she's been out of the room for an hour playing by herself. And then, Lilith is murdering somebody and sucking out all their blood. And she's just like, hey, Daddy, what's going on? I'm like, oh, God, circle button. So, like, I've been skipping every cutscene. And then it's been funny, like missing half of the story, because you'll come back from a cutscene and like everybody in the room is dead, you're covered in blood, and it's basically like, well, I guess they said no, and I'm like, who? What? Who? Where? What?
You're having a memento moment where it's like, what? I'm in a room with corpses and I have no idea what happened.
Right, and so like I have been trying to catch up. Every couple of days I'll go and I'll like watch the cutscenes on YouTube and like try and catch up. When she goes back to school, that's probably when I'll like be at the point where I'm going to start my seasonal character, and then maybe I'll go through and like watch some of the stuff there. But it's been kind of funny getting like half of the story and being like, oh, they double-crossed me, huh? I don't know who that is. Boss fight time. All right.
I will let you know, because I've had to do this too when my mostly daughter, my son's kind of getting to that age, but if you just hit the PlayStation button and it brings you to the home screen, it will pause the cinematic.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay.
So that way she's just looking at the title card for Diablo,
that's right.
And not Lilith ripping people asunder.
Some hell-based horror. Yeah. So far the only real complaint that I have for Diablo 4, ran into a lot of rubber banding kind of network issues this week. Yep. That largely seems to be my connection, though. My internet's been kind of squirrely today. I'm looking at the number of dropped frames on this very stream, and that coincides with that. My only thing, and this isn't really a frustration, it's just like, this game is always on, and they have been touting, like, you'll run across people in the world, and they'll join with you and do these events and everything. I don't see anybody. Like, even in Koyavashad or whatever the big city is, like the first big city you run into, I don't see anybody in that city. Like, I never see anybody doing whatever their version of public events from Destiny are. I don't see anyone. And that, to me, that's kind of a bummer, because I can go play Diablo 3, I can pause it, usually, and, like, I can go play that offline and kind of have fun. And Diablo 4 is like, no, man, you gotta be online. For what? I don't know. Don't worry about it. Anyways, it's just like...
Because even the people that you do run into out on the maps, we're all doing our own thing. I'm going this direction because I have a side quest that's leading me there, and I run into somebody who's running in the direction I just came from. I'm not going to follow them because I'm doing a thing, and they're not going to follow me because they're doing a thing.
Well, I don't even have a horse yet, so these people, like, screaming past me on the horse every once in a while is just like, peace.
I forgot to bring this up in Zelda 2, but the horse in both Diablo and Zelda control like crap.
I ran everywhere in Zelda because the horse just doesn't control well.
The horses, they don't feel good at all. But anyway, this one, it's great because you can boost through enemies. It won't do damage to them, but if you get surrounded, you can do the little spur boost thing.
Oh, okay.
And you can get through them. But every once in a while, I don't know if you come across it, but every once in a while you get ambushed. Or like bone walls will surround you. Yeah. Your horse can't get through that, so you have to then fight.
Oh, okay.
Kind of crappy, but whatever. But
I was wondering because one of the developers, there's like a big patch coming out on the 8th. I think someone just hit me up in Discord about. He was like, "Oh, in this next patch coming out on the 8th, your horse will be able to bust through barricades now." And I was like,
"Oh, okay."
That doesn't mean anything to me. But now that you said that, I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds really cool. Like, if you got a boost left, just keep on motoring." All right, that's
or at least let them jump over it or something. Yeah,
right.
But I still argue this game did not need to be always online at all.
No,
they should have just done it the way with 3, where it's like, okay, we're gonna party up, and the 4 of us are in our own world.
Hop in, hop out.
Here we go. Yeah, because like any other game, I don't care what you're doing. Even with like Destiny, I don't care what any of you in the tower are doing. I am here to do a thing, and I'm either doing it by myself or with a group of people.
I'm sorting my gear. I don't need you.
Yeah, it's like besides some of the public events that would come up, that would be the only time I interact with anybody online. And even then, none of us have headphones on because none of us want to talk to each other.
And that's what I was hoping to see out of Diablo 4 is like I like working together with people in Destiny for the public events, because you run into like, oh, here's a bunch of 5 cool people. One of them has a real goofy name, and we had fun for like 2 or 3 minutes, but it's still even. And I'm sure it's because people are playing the seasonal stuff that I'm not seeing anybody.
Yeah,
but like it just feels weird that there's just really nobody there. But I am having a blast. I'm having a ton. I like action RPGs like this. Like I just love going through and motoring my way through like 400 tiny red goblins in a dungeon and just kind of moving on with my day. Like I like this genre, and I think this is super fun. So
I mean, it's basically a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah, basically. Like, and I never really got into, because I always hear people say like, oh, you should play Path of Exile, and I'm just like, Path of Exile terrifies me. Like every time I try and play that, and you gain a level or two, and they're like, head into the skill tree, and there's just hundreds of skill tree notes, and I'm like, ooh, that's so much.
I say the second one's coming out soon ish.
Something like that. Yeah, I might give that a shot if that's also free to play. Why not? Yeah.
Because it's also, I don't believe that one requires you to be online all the time.
Oh yeah, you're right. It might not. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the first one didn't.
I don't think it does. I think if you are online, you can see a whole bunch of other people, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know if you needed to. Interesting. But yeah, I'm having a blast with Diablo 4. I'm kind of looking to continue clipping here. I'm kind of taking it at my own speed. I'm not. The season lasts until October something, like October
it's like a 3-month season or something.
Yeah, it's like October 27th or something. It says. Also, thank you, Blizzard. Unlike Diablo 3, where it's like, when does the season end? I don't know. They'll let us know
right there on the title screen.
Sometime, yeah. Like now, it's just like season goes until the 27th, which I appreciate. But yeah, Diablo 4 is just a lot of fun. I'm glad I tried the class that I'm trying now. I'm not entirely sure I'm really clicking with it. I would really like to try a necromancer, but I don't feel like I have enough bonuses in the game now to start another character to fly through the story yet. I do like that your renown does carry over to all your characters, but it's not like the Paragon in Diablo 3 where it's like, all right, I'm gonna log in, I have 200 Paragon points to spend, I'm just gonna fly through this. I'm not really at that point yet, which is fine. But
I'm at that same point too. I really want to build a druid, but I want to get more of the stuff unlocked with my current class to make it a little easier on me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep clipping away at this. I like it. I know people online are upset because people online are always upset, but I'm having a good time with it so far.
It's always the same, like we talked about last time. It's always the same people of, I spend like 15 hours a day playing this game, and you've completely jacked up my build. It's like, dude, like, play something else for a little bit.
I mean, it's funny because you'll notice I haven't talked about Destiny 2 in a very long time because I haven't been playing it in a very long time because this season, myself and like literally everyone in the clan and everybody we play with all got burnt out at the same time. So we've all been playing something different, and I'm sure we'll come back next season or the season after that or whatever, and we'll be like, oh yeah, Destiny, oh, look at all this fresh new stuff. I love it. It's great. But like, you gotta at least try to, because you're right, it's the same people that are like, I play 15 hours every day, I've been playing Destiny for the last 9 years, and I'm just tired of it, there's nothing else for me to do. And it's like, yes, you've done it all, just go do something else. That's okay. Like there are other things for you to play. Please do.
Between them and the people on Steam, where they're like, "Oh yeah, this game is 100% garbage, downvote," and then you look at their hour count, 900 hours.
Right. It's like, I hate this game. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's like, come on, man. Jeez. My last game here, though, I sort of pushed myself to play more Triangle Strategy this week because I said, all right, I'm going to sit down, turn on my Switch, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to try and push through this hump here at the beginning of the game. Yay. Yeah, like I'm gonna play this game that everybody loves and I will probably love. I have gotten through another battle. I have it playing here on the video version. There's sort of a tournament at the beginning. That fight was actually really fairly difficult, which I appreciated.
Yeah, they take the gloves off real quick.
Yeah, it's like an 8v8 battle, and I was like, oh, this should be fine. I got a bunch of, like, cell swords here, and a dude on a horse, and the dude on the horse is like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, one-shot one of your party members. It's like, oh, yeah, sure, okay, great, this is not a tutorial fight, all right. So got through that. I only lost one unit. I felt pretty good about that. I unlocked a bunch of new skills during that fight too, which I appreciated were available during the fight as soon as I earned them. Like the character's next turn, you don't have to like go equip the skill or anything, which I really appreciate. Thank you. It doesn't sound like a lot, but in a lot of SRPGs, it's like, oh, you gotta equip it and manage your SP, and there's skill
like
points.
5 skills and
right,
blah, blah,
it's just
blah.
like, you better pick them all. And it's like, nah, man, here you go. You got all of them. So I really appreciated that. I did a couple of exploration events, which I kind of liked quite a bit so far. So for anyone that hasn't played it, you essentially get dumped into a very small, kind of self-contained area. There's a bunch of NPCs around. A couple of them will have an exclamation mark over their head where you can talk to them to make a decision, essentially. You can talk to them and be like, hey, what do you think about this next area we're going to? And they'll say a bunch of stuff, and they'll say, what do you think, my liege? And then you have like 3 choices to decide from. You pick a choice, and then it's like, your main character's resolve has increased. I'm like, yeah, cool. It's gonna give it to you that for every choice, but that's fine.
Yeah, there's also, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you will get to a point that during those exploration sections, you can set things up to help you in coming battles, and you can choose to do them or not.
Interesting.
Or there's the possibility of even missing them and not even knowing that it's an option.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've gotten to that point yet, but I'll keep an eye out. That's interesting.
You should not yet, but
right, probably pretty soon.
There have been things that I did in the game, and then it helped me out in one particular fight that I'm thinking of. I was like, that is really cool. So
that's cool. Yeah, I actually got to the first decision event. So this is the thing that people either really love or hate about this game, which is essentially early on in the game they're like, here are these scales, and you and your 7 companions, it's not an even number, get to use these scales to make your choices. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
It feels super corny when they first bring it up and talk about it.
Right, it does, and I'm like, that sounds really weird, but I got to the first decision thing, and you're in another one of those self-contained areas, and they're like, all right, we have 2 kingdoms we can go to after this tournament, festival, feast thing completes. We need to escort one of these 2 kingdoms back, and we're sort of doing this at the request of the emperor.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to do? And you get to choose. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you see on the left side of the screen, it's like, these 3 people want to go to this place. These 3 people want to go to this place. Go talk to them. And you can go try to convince them to vote one way or another. I really like that the game is very honest about, like, this person will listen to reason. This one person said, like, you can try and convince them, and then underneath it said you'd have more success talking to a brick wall. It's like, okay, I know not to like waste my time with this one. I'll go spend my time and spend some of my influence to go talk to this other person. I really like that it sounded like the thing that I was going to hate, but I really didn't know the way that the decision was going to go when everyone voted, and it went the way that I wanted it to go, but I would have been okay if it hadn't gone the way I wanted, because it would have been interesting either way.
Yeah.
And I know, like, you can play this game multiple times, and I know there's like a perfect path through, and I'm not anywhere interested in that for this first playthrough. But I liked being able to say that I wanted to go. So the choices are: you go to the place that makes the salt with that big like heart-shaped lake in the middle of it, or like you go to the like desert town, or you can go to Ace Frost, which is where your new bride's half-siblings are from, and you met her half-siblings in that previous scene, and they are like the worst garbage people on the planet. And I'm like, well, I'm going to choose to go to the desert place because I don't want her to have to go see them again and have them be terrible with her. Yeah. And so it was really interesting because I quote-unquote won the vote because we're going to that desert place. But after the vote completes, they're like, so happy you're going to come with us. I really appreciate it. Funny story, though. Your wife can't come with us, though, because, pink hair, and they're kind of like the enemies of our kingdom. So, like, she's got to stay here. Okay, thanks, bye. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, that's right, because you find out the whole slavery story about
the
Rosarian people or something like that?
I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, yeah, we hate them all because, they did something horrible in the past. And they're slaves for, like, digging up a bunch of salt now. And I'm like, oh, that's... boy, okay.
Yeah, it does a complete... Wow, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and I was like, I kind of like that I did what I thought was the right choice, but even at the end of the day, it's still not the best choice because she can come with us, but like she can't talk to anybody, she can barely show up to anything, Everybody seems fairly miserable there. I'm like halfway through the chapter where we're dealing with all that stuff.
I was gonna say, yeah, because she's not even like people there.
No, they're just like, oh, the pink hair.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get out? You should be off in the salt mines. So I thought that was kind of neat because I was like, yeah, I made the right choice. I won it. Boy, there's another side of that coin, huh? So I feel this week I feel like it's grabbing me a little bit more. I really wish there were more fights. I've played for a handful of hours at this point, and I have done 2 fights, which feels frustrating because the battle system in this feels really good, and I really like playing that part, but there's just so much talking, which is getting more interesting now that we're kind of like getting into it, but I wish there was a little bit better balance of that.
Did you get the encampment stuff already?
I just unlocked a bunch of stuff, and when I closed the game out this morning, I just unlocked the encampment stuff for the bar, so I can do mock battles in there. And I'm like, okay, cool, that helps, because like the first mock battle is one where you can repeat the like first battle you get into in the game, and the second one is like a challenge battle where it's a pincher attack, and the reward was like leather or stone or something that I need to upgrade one of my units' weapons so that they can get stronger and get more skills. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to see how all this stuff kind of ties together all at the same time.
I was gonna say, because I was actually going to bring that up, that you'll eventually unlock that mock battle thing, and you'll want to run that a couple of times, because you'll get to a point where the story missions don't really give... They still give you items and stuff, but you need more of those items, or else you'll start falling behind real quick. Because, it doesn't want to hold your hand.
Which I appreciate. Like, I kind of like... I kind of like how this game isn't really interested in holding your hand for really anything. Like, it is introducing people into the world and not introing them at all, and it's expecting you to hit the X button on the controller. It's like this little card that pops up where it's like, here's the full artwork for the character and their name, and it's like, oh, this lady is the head of one of the 7 generals of this town. She heads up the Ministry of Health or whatever. I was like, cool, okay. And like, that's all you need to kind of get a quick intro, and then the game is off on its own again. Yeah,
because it's not out to kill you. It's just not babying you. If you're not paying attention, your characters will fall behind.
Right, or if like you do the SRPG stuff you're not supposed to, which is like, oh, I moved 3 of my units up and they're all by themselves, and whoops, the enemy got behind me and they just destroyed me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of did that to myself. And the game isn't cruel about it, like you're saying, but like, it will let you lose if you're kind of making dumb choices. So,
I will also say that don't neglect the stat boosts that you can do, like the attack ups and the defense ups. Those are actually useful in this game as opposed to other ones.
Right.
Like most RPGs where it's like, oh yeah, you have status effects, but they don't really mean anything or do a whole lot.
Yeah, because you're... The one older guy you have at the beginning,
butler?
Yeah, he does like an attack up and a magic attack up, and I use that at the beginning where it's like, oh yeah, let's see how this does, and it's like, oh no, that makes a huge difference. Okay,
yeah,
wow,
he goes from doing like 50 damage to like 150 damage or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty huge.
Your spy too, I love, because if at some point she can just like, I forget what it's called, but basically she can just like disappear. And then you can move her around, and then she has an attack where she can do double the attack. And if you get behind a person when she does it, it's basically double crits. Oof, and she becomes a monster to use.
Yeah.
And then what do you think about them using their basically like their AP system instead of an MP, where you get the little diamonds?
Yeah, it's an interesting system, because you can't just like your wife here in the game. I will never remember any of these characters' names. but she can cast fire magic, and it takes like 2 diamonds every time it casts, and I think she starts with 3. So you can cast it once, and then you can cast it again the next turn, but after that, you got to let it recharge a little bit. And I like that because there's nothing kind of more annoying in a long battle than like walking next to a party member and feeding them like an ether to get them enough MP to do. I would much rather this system of like, all right, I'm gonna hang back. Maybe I'll use a healing item on myself or someone else. Give me a turn or 2 to recharge my little diamonds or whatever, and then I'll get back into the battle. I like that a lot more than kind of juggling MP.
Yeah, I think you. I'm trying to remember. I believe if you defend in this game for your turn, you earn back at least 1 diamond.
That sounds right.
So you get the benefit of having the boost in defense if you just can't do anything while recharging your diamonds, so that way you can crank up for a big attack the following turn. So it's got a lot of cool little mechanics in it that aren't necessarily new, but it does them really well.
Yeah, like the whole thing, the whole game is kind of like that. Like, sure, there's nothing really new in here. Like, yeah, it's just kind of an SRPG, and you can set the ground on fire. I've been getting tooltips about that. And there's some new stuff in there, but a lot of it is just like, yeah, man, you're kind of playing an SRPG, but it is all done really well. I did stumble on the, my last note here, did stumble on the video settings there, and I turned off the vignetting around the edge of the screen. Yeah. That's helped a lot for me for like the HD 2D stuff. You can turn off the field of view fuzziness too, but that didn't seem to make too much of a difference for me, so I left it on. But getting that kind of vignetting around the edge off, that helped me a lot for making it not so blurry, which... Nice. I appreciate it. I'm glad that they have settings in there instead of being like, no, this is our art style. Like, don't mess with the art style.
So can we turn down how bright and shiny the water is in your game because it's blinding?
Please, it's so much. But yeah, I'm gonna keep sticking with it. I'm not at the point yet where I feel like I need to keep like I'm propelling myself through it. I still feel like I'm kind of, oh yeah, let me fire up my Switch, let me go put some time into it. I still feel like I'm at that point, but I feel like stuff is starting to come together here now, where I'm kind of at that point where it's like, all right, yeah, I can feel myself getting pulled in a little bit. I can see why people really like this, and I can sort of see the fun here, to maybe put it a little bluntly. So Triangle Strategy still seems pretty cool. That's enough from me. That's all I've been playing this week. Let's take a break.
Still a super weird name for a game, but
yeah, man,
no different than Dungeon Encounters.
That's true. I've been feeling the pull for Dungeon Encounters lately because someone posted it. I think it was Colin Space Twinks posted it on his Steam recommendations thread, and I was just like, ooh, I could really go to Useplay to play that again, but I know I would go 100% into it again, and I have other things I want to play right now. I'd save that for a rainy day. All right, I had to take a real quick bio break. I'll be right back.
All right. Let's see, I will also do that real quick. So I will also be right back. Oh. Now that everyone's had a moment of silence. Oh, Pharaoh in the chat. Yes, it was a good weekend, but it's Sunday, and I have to go to work tomorrow, and I don't want to. Just like every Sunday. But let's see. Let's make sure the news is all set up. Yep. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. I saw your posts in Discord for that. Okay. And one day maybe I'll find it. I don't know. I haven't seen them before, but I'm not normally looking for Pringles either.
My daughter had to show me. She and my wife went to the garden center, and she picked out a little plant for her room. She was very excited to show me, and I was like, all right, that's cool. I like it.
I found, speaking of something I didn't do in the pre-show, I went into a liquor store randomly yesterday with my wife after we had lunch, and I found more of those Bang mixer drinks that I really like. Because no one around here sells them anymore, and I couldn't find a reason why.
Right.
But I found, like, my wife went in there to pick up something for herself, and I just happened to be walking, and they had, cans of them in the coolers. I'm like, holy hell, they have them here. So I tore that store apart looking for a case of it. Right. And they had 2 cases in the back beer cave cooler that they had. Yeah, and I walked up and I was super excited, and I'm at the register. I'm like, man, I've been looking for these for months now, and no one sells them anymore. It's like, yeah, they've been really hard to find. It's like we've been trying to keep them in stock whenever we can.
Oh, weird.
So now I'm going to be hitting up one shop a lot.
There you go.
But I was giddy with anticipation. I had to limit myself to 2 last night.
Right. Man. All right. You ready for this next part?
Yes, I am.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of July 31st, 2023. F1 Manager 2023 comes out. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. We talked about this previous one, right? One of you guys played it?
Yeah, they had. I think Moon might have played it. I don't know. They did. Familiar. I think it sounds like last year was the first year of them doing the manager version.
Maybe that was it. Okay.
And this is the new one where they've reiterated on the new.
Right.
They've changed a couple things. I watched a video on it, and it looked really cool and seemed really interesting. And if I'm going to play an F1 game, it may end up being one of these.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, as much as I like to watch the racing, I don't necessarily like to play the racing.
Yeah, I like the manager games like this. I like them turning it into a puzzle game of how am I going to get my squad and my tires and my engine. I think that's pretty cool. So we'll see.
I will say though that the graphics on this look super dated though.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't stop me from playing it. But they look super dated.
Yeah. Next game up here is Venba. This comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series console, Switch, and PC. This is Game Pass day and date. This is probably the game you've seen before. They call it a short narrative cooking game. Plays an Indian mom who immigrates to Canada with her family in the 80s. You cook various dishes and restore lost recipes, hold branch conversations, exploring the story about family, love, loss, and more. And these has been heavily featured on the Wholesome Games Direct. They've had it a bunch, where it's this kind of like cool Indian cooking game. Has this very cool art style that I don't even know how you describe it, but it looks very, very cool. I'm happy it's coming to Game Pass because I hope more people give it a shot. I'd like to try this out, and I'll probably check it out on Game Pass.
It looks super interesting, and I hope that they have the actual recipes in there for your people to actually try as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. I don't know if they do. I'll have to try it this week since it comes out here on Monday. Baldur's Gate 3, definitely one of the biggest releases this week, coming out on PC. I feel like I have heard so much about this game in so many ways of it's got 4 bajillion endings and it has 300 quintillion voice lines and it's 3,000 hours.
Yeah, they were talking, just doing the main quest was 170 some odd hours. They were talking about the script for this of all the VOs was more than all the Lord of the Rings movies combined.
Oh gosh.
And what was the other thing? There was something else too, but I've seen news articles about how this is pushing what AAA's like the expectations of what a AAA game should be, and I'm like, no, it's not pushing it. This is what a AAA game should be.
Yeah, and like
not necessarily the 170 hours. Right. I mean, that's great and all, but I have to work.
Yeah, I mean, it does have the benefit of being, I believe it was kickstarted, right?
Yes, starting out.
Yeah. And then it has had a very long early access period where they've sold a ton. So it's had kind of a great, almost enviable benefit of getting 2 rounds of huge funding, which has done really well for the game. But I'm with you. Like, I feel like I am more of the speed right now of like the 20 to 30 hour RPG rather than the 120 plus hour RPG. So
I'm happy with a 10-hour RPG at this point.
Yeah, like you get me in and out, and I'm more of a Chrono Trigger speed. Also, Square, put Chrono Trigger on more stuff. I want to play it again. Please. I would really love to play it on anything. The DS version is the last one that I really liked. Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy a long, huge kind of traditional CRPG like Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out. It's just not the speed that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah. I will get to it at some point. The PS5 version is releasing September 3rd, 2nd or 3rd, whatever that falls on. Xbox is still unannounced right now, obviously, because they're still having issues with the S version.
Right, that was the rub that they were having, was they wanted to release the S and X version at the same time, and they were having troubles. From what I understand, the S version is working, but like not to the level they want it to yet. So yeah, we'll see what they do there. I'm really curious. I keep hearing grumbles from developers being like, the Xbox S, or grumble. Like, it's not impossible, but it's sort of like, I wish they had the power of the X, because the X is strong and the S is less so, but causing them some problems.
Does. I mean, they're 2 different companies that are going to go about this 2 different ways, but I do think it's really weird that for the PlayStation, the PS5, we have like the disc and the disc-less, and literally the only difference is one has a drive and the other one doesn't, where with the S and the X, it's more than that. They not both have the drive, but the S is also half is whatever the figures are. It's less powerful, it's weaker than the X. Yeah.
It served them really well during the supply chain stuff, because it's like, we can't make a ton of the X, but we got the stuff to make the S, or when stuff's running out of the S, we can make the X. So that worked for them really well, but now that the supply chain stuff is easing up, I wonder how much that's going to hurt or help them kind of long term.
I was gonna say, I'm wondering if at what point they would ever think about dropping the S. Like, I don't know what the sales figures are. The S may be doing gangbusters over the X. I don't know, and it may still be due to limitations, but it seems like if everyone has come to the same opinion of the S is what's holding back the console generation right now, it's like, how much longer are you going to force people to do stuff for it? But whatever. I'm just a humble gamer living paycheck to paycheck.
That's right. Like the rest of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Next game here, Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition. This is coming out on PC. The console versions are delayed. TBD, I guess. I played so much Rise of the Triad growing up because it was exactly the right level of stupid and bloody and Nazi shooting for me as like an early teenager to be kind of tickled by it. The idea that they are continuing to port this after all this time is really wonderful, and it's definitely the last game I would expect really anybody to continue porting. But I really love this game in a way that it probably has not aged well at all. So I probably won't be playing it, but it's so stupid. I love it.
It's just stupid violence, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a map maker in there too?
They do, yeah. For at least for
wow.
the PC version, they're putting a map maker in there. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff, and I'll say it again: you get to shoot Nazis, which is always a good time because Nazis are not good. I think it's safe to say Nazis are bad.
Yeah,
so, throwing that out there. Next game up here, Oceanhorn 2, Knights of the Lost Realm for PS5, Series Console, and PC. This came out on Switch and iOS a couple of years ago, and I've always kept an eye on this because it looks very much like a kind of Blue Sky Zelda-like. This is kind of like third-person hack-and-slashy action thing.
Yeah, I was watching the trailer, and it looked like kind of like a budget version of Zelda, which isn't bad at all. It actually looked interesting enough where I'm like, I might have to pick this up at some point.
Yeah, I've always been kind of interested in these because they look kind of what I think of is a pre-Breath of the Wild classic kind of 3D Zelda.
Yeah.
And it looks fun. I think it looks like a cool little thing if you're looking for a kind of character hack and slashy kind of
action game,
family friendly thing like this. So I don't know. Oceanhorn 2 looks pretty neat. The last game here, Black Skylands, comes to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. This is a top-down sort of twin-stick open world base building adventure thing. That I guess came out to PC a couple of years ago. This looks pretty neat. I hadn't heard about this until today. I don't know how I missed this before because this seems like it's very much in my wheelhouse. If you haven't seen a trailer for Black Skylands, I really recommend going and checking it out because it has a pretty cool art style. It looks like there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. Especially
you do a lot of customization according to the video too, like customizing your own ship and your weapons and the weapons on your character.
And we don't see a lot of ship-to-ship battling that often, so I kind of appreciate when games let you do that in general. So I don't know. Black Skylands looks pretty neat. We don't get a lot of games like this. We get these every once in a while on PC because they're really good for mouse control, but we don't get a ton of them on console, which is kind of a bummer. So that's Black Skylands. That's all of our releases. Let's talk about our news story. Is going to start off, well, I guess we got two bummers here. First one, a bummer for me. Rumors that Ubisoft canceled a sequel to Immortals Fenyx Rising, which is I feel like people are getting flack when I've seen a couple of news places calling it a Breath of the Wild-like, and people are like, well, that's not fair. I was like, no, it kind of is. As someone who actually played it, yeah, it's not. That's not too far off. I really liked that first game a whole lot. I thought this was going to be something that Ubisoft was going to continue with because it came out with like 4 DLC packs or something for it.
It's like they had a whole other pantheon the Chinese pantheon. That's right, that they added to it.
Yeah, and they came out with a bunch of DLC for it, and the last DLC pack was actually an isometric Diablo style expansion. Like they changed it from a behind the scene, like behind the character third person thing. So really wild stuff. VGC reported earlier this week that they heard something. Kotaku corroborated that as well, and then Ubisoft initially was like, "Nah, what? No, we don't comment on rumors and speculations." And then maybe like the next day they said, "Quote: As part of our global strategy, we are redirecting and reallocating some creative teams and resources within the Quebec studio to other announced projects." End quote. We have nothing further to share at this time. So basically like, no, we don't worry about it. And the next day was like, yeah, that's us. So I get it. Immortals Fenyx Rising wasn't reviewed super well because a lot of the voiceover was pretty annoying. But I really liked that game a whole lot, and I'm assuming it didn't sell very well because I think it's the one game Ubisoft didn't really know how to market very well.
Yeah.
I think they could have just said like, "Hey, it's like one of those Zelda games," so people are like, "Oh yeah, all right, cool." So I don't really blame them. I hope it is. I hope that a sequel to this comes at some point, but I think the whispers we've been hearing for a couple of weeks here now is that Assassin's Creed Red is kind of all hands on deck. I don't think in a bad way, but in just a way of like, this thing needs to get done, so we need to keep working on it. Feyroor in chat says Immortals Feast Rising sold 40% of what Assassin's Creed Valhalla sold. So that's still pretty good because Assassin's Creed games sell pretty well.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a AAA game with like millions of dollars into it.
And millions of side quests, am I right? Hey.
Yeah, and this game probably had maybe 1 million.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the same scale and scope.
So for 40%, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I hope that's not the reason for why they're like, oh yeah, it didn't sell as much as Valhalla. And it's like, you're just as bad as Square at that point.
I was gonna say,
it's like, oh yeah, the
Enix
Tomb Raider games didn't, we
didn't meet our expectations.
And,
so
we only
like,
sold 500 million games, and that's not,
We need that team to work on one of the 5 Assassin's Creed games we have under development right now. So,
I hope Assassin's Creed does it for them, but it sounds like Ubi's just kind of in this weird thing. They're not really putting out a whole lot.
Right.
I hear good things about Mirage. I'm not interested right now.
I think that comes out pretty soon, right?
Soon, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're just not, like, if they put out another Far Cry game, I'm not interested in that right now.
Like, that needs to take a break for a while.
Yeah,
like Far Cry,
they need to really do something new with that series.
Yeah,
and that's
Assassin's Creed Mirage comes out October 12th, so that's a little further away than I thought. But I'm interested in that one just because I'm a sucker for that series. But I think for a lot of people, not really for me, but I think Mirage might be a make or break for people that got in with Origins, and then like are starting to feel the squeeze with Valhalla. So we'll see how that does.
Well, it's also the fact that Ubisoft just keeps coming out saying, "Oh yeah, it's a return to form of like the old Assassin's Creed," and I'm like, I was not a huge fan of how the old Assassin's Creed games played. I'm sorry. I enjoyed Origins and all that stuff too, but I was also not a fan of what that turned into eventually. So it's like, you guys really need to hash out what you want these series to be.
Yeah, exactly. Last news story we have here: Aiden Chronicle 100 Heroes pushed to 2024. They had a Kickstarter update that basically said like, we need more time. So they're aiming for Q2 2024 now, which isn't too surprising. Yeah, and is fine because like they're still sticking with like, hey, we got 100 heroes for you to get. Like this is going to be a spiritual successor to Suikoden come hell or high water. So I appreciate that they're still doing it. They've shared a bunch of new footage from it of the kind of the in development version. It looks really good. Yeah. I think the kind of the pixel art sort of style that they're going for, that's like almost that kind of depth of field HD 2D, I think looks really good. I like to see more studios playing with that. And I appreciate that they're just like, we need a little bit more time. Well,
I think too, they were looking at their original release was going to be around Starfield.
Oh yeah, it's just
if that happened, that was
get out of the
lost.
way.
Yeah,
just scooch right out of the way of that. Yeah. We do have a question this week from a listener named Moonpeer. He says, "Hey guys, long time, first time here. Got a question for you. What would be some funny/dumb company names based on video games? For example, Baldur's Garden Enclosure Repair, Icewind HVAC Company, Dishonored Bearer Bonds, Vermintide Pest Control. Love the show. I really like those pun sections in the Outcast." Grumble, 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 grumble.
Yeah. I'm glad you lost your book. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man.
So, I cheated.
Okay.
And I saw him post this question. I'm like, all right, I need to actually think about these because I am not very good at coming on these in the top of my head. So, I have a list.
Perfect, because, man, I'm not coming up with anything.
Okay. You sit back and think while I regale you on these
Perfect.
golden nuggets
I'll
that I
absorb
have.
them.
All right. The first one, the very first thing that came to mind when I read this question was BioShock Plumbing and Electrical.
Perfect.
I've got No Man's Skylights Inc.
Love it.
I've got Live Plasma donations.
Okay.
Final Fantasy hookup app. This is not
Final Fantasy.
Is not with the Final Fantasy characters.
No,
yeah.
Yep, I get it.
I've got this one I kind of liked, Tales of a Bookstore.
I like it. 2 thumbs up.
13 Sentinel Security Systems.
Yep.
Persona Fez, which would just be an employer recruitment tool set.
Right.
And then Eternal Darkness Blackout Curtains.
Okay. All right. I think the Tales of Bookstore is probably my favorite one out of all those.
Yeah.
That's a 2 thumbs up. Oh man. Very good. Thank you, mystery listener Moonpeer, for writing in with your first question here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for writing in. I appreciate it. That is our episode for this week. If you would like to write in, you can visit us at tvgp.tv. All the ways to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Moonpeer put his question in the Discord server. We do have a Patreon. Sorry. We do have a Patreon channel. If you're a patron, you can come there, talk to other patrons. We do have a podcast questions channel. This is what happens when I don't do the hour of recording before we do this episode.
Everything's thrown off.
Yeah, man. We do have a podcast questions channel. If you would like to ask questions of the podcast, you can do so in there. We also have channels for the Fiesta, the Forge Out Fiesta that's still going on. We've got a channel for Diablo 4. We've got a channel for a couple of hit games here and a couple of other stuff. But again, like I usually say, it's not one of those channels where it's going a mile a minute and you can't keep up with the conversation. It's a very chill place. Very, very cool place. It's very rare. Maybe once or twice a year do I open up the app and it's you missed 15 messages. Usually it's not that level of speed. So
there's also a promotional channel there if you're doing your own thing or you want us to check out something else in the Discord. I mean, I
promote
jump in
your
there
stuff,
once in a
man.
while.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. You can get that over at discord.tvgp.tv if you want to get over there. Speaking of subdomains, you want to buy some of our cool merchandise, merch.tvgp.tv. That store's still running. Check out some of those cool, I'll never amount to anything mugs. It's good stuff. With a very professionally drawn rainbow. It's very good.
Get a lot of weird looks from wearing that shirt in public.
Yeah. My favorite is the Not Bubsy We Know shirt. That's probably one of the dumbest jokes we've made on this show to date, and we made a shirt out of it very quickly.
I highly recommend getting the parchment-looking color. I don't remember what the selection is, but it looks real good.
When I moved to this store, I made sure that I don't care what the other colors of the shirt are, because you have a couple of colors you can pick. That one has to be the top of the carousel has to be that cool parchment color. Merch.tvgp.tv for all of that. And another plug here for patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
Talked about all the cool audio and all the bonus and exclusive stuff you can get at the top of the show. Your patronage helps me pay for all of these shows. Hosting for the show is expensive, but has not gotten more expensive recently. I'm waiting for that email to come in, be oh, by the way, it's going up by a couple more bucks a month. Yay! Yeah. So waiting for that shoe to drop. But thank you very much, everyone, for your patronage. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. As we talked about in the pre-show, everything is super expensive right now. If you'd like to support us other than financially, please share us on social media. Tell your friends. Word of mouth is huge for this stuff. Like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Rate the show wherever you can, especially the big places you can, like the iTunes podcast app. all that stuff really does help. That helps discovery a lot, which is how shows like ours, we're not Conan O'Brien. We don't have like a bajillion dollars because we were already famous. So the kind of grassroots natural growth is the best way to grow shows like this. And any other show you listen to, all that stuff, we're not going to rate our show first. And then the other shows that you listen to, go rate them. Because all that stuff really, really does help. And we don't have some... ads on the internet are the worst, especially on podcasts. So I've never found anybody that I would want to be a sponsor on the show. So we don't really make money off of the show. So to grow the show, you should tell your friends and tell the internet, because that's the best way.
But I mean, if you want us to start doing WeUndies commercials or something,
yeah, like yeah,
I'll sit here and talk to you guys about my underwear. Whatever.
There you go. Not for free though. Lock it down.
Yeah, no free rides.
That's right, exactly. All right. On that note, that's our episode this week. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man. No Zoa energy. I went to go look for Zoa energy at Target the other day. I haven't been drinking energy drinks for the last 6 months or so. And I was like, oh man, I bet I could go for a Zoa energy, and I couldn't find them at Target the other day. I was like, oh no. Have they already shut down? I meant to open up the website. I'll do it here in a minute.
I was like, yeah, I haven't seen them either. Now that you guys talk about it.
Did The Rock finally shutter his
because I know Bang, their whole thing, and with like the alcohol drink that I was talking about earlier,
right?
Apparently Bang, the major company for that, is going bankrupt or soon to be bankrupt.
Oh no.
But Bang itself is still kind of hanging in there, but they've been having issues with distribution and stuff, which is why a lot of places don't carry the energy drinks anymore, which not in my area. I can get those energy drinks anywhere right now, but
Zoa Energy has totally different cans now. Maybe that's why we can't find them anymore. They're rebranded.
We don't see what they look like anymore.
That's right. I just can't see them anymore. Oh man!
Oh, wow.
All right, Nim.
That looks kind of cool. That blue one where it's just got the Zoa on the side of it.
Yeah,
but it kind of looks like a weird PlayStation since it's got the circle and the triangle there.
Right. It almost looks like a flavored water instead of a All right, Nim. What are your titles here?
I only have like 3.
Me too.
And I'm not really attached to a bunch of them, but I have Drinking Dino. I have TP on the Oven. And Friends.
I have just writing down Friends, Shut Up RPGs, and the one that I'm voting for is Drinks and Dinos. Because I think that's like...
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That's a very good TVGP title. And also, sounds like a good time. Yeah. Oh, man.
Nice.
I forgot about TP on the Oven. It's just... Sounds like a song that would be in a Jet Set game.
Yeah, it's got to be some random like garage band.
Yeah, some Japanese garage band.
Dude, now getting off track again. I saw that Baby Metal and Death Clock are touring this year.
I saw that too, and I was like, if there's ever a better combination than Baby Metal and Death Clock, that's genius.
I want to go, but I think the closest one was Detroit, and it was like Wednesday night. And I'm like,
that's rough. Yeah. Man.
I think I'm ready.
Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 823 for July 31st, 2023. Drinks and Dinos.
We just have our Jurassic Cooler and a good time.
Jurassic Cooler. Good. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for hanging out with us. Appreciate seeing so many of you in chat. Appreciate everybody chatting with us every week. I hope we'll see you all next week. Bye.